Live. Let's double check to make sure that the stream is going. I wanted to share with you all. Oh, I need to change the name. What is going on with PolyTools, the Content Polymath, and PolyInnovator? What is going on with PolyTools, the Content Polymath, which it's the same brand, right? PolyInnovator is my main brand. Then PolyTools and Content Polymath are actually the same brand, but I just wanted to include them all in the title here because whenever I am creating content, it's generally going to be underneath one of these umbrellas. It could be the gaming umbrella, it could be the content creator umbrella, it could be my main umbrella, which encompasses it all. However, I found that when I was talking about PolyTools, it ended up having this connotation towards just tools, and I really enjoy talking about content creation. Now, obviously, if anybody's wanting to like learn about content creation, it's okay to like make content about something different than what you're actually making the channel about. But the channel shouldn't have been just tools. It was tools for creators. Content creators were the actual main niche. So I changed the marketing, changed the branding to associate with that content niche rather than the tools niche. Now, I still want to talk about tools, and I'm still going to, particularly with written content, but I might make a few videos here and there, like tube spanners getting my attention. I might make another video about Melt Studio at some point. Nuelink has a few videos I want to make. So there's a few tools I want to specifically make content about. But I'm not going to be sitting there making like the here's every tool in this market video kind of thing. I did recently for multi-streaming, but that's because it's really important right now. Now, I'm obviously not multi-streaming right now. I'm just streaming to just YouTube, but that's mainly because I wanted to make a video more than anything. And honestly, I kind of wanted the yap. And I felt that I should also double check to make sure that you could actually hear it. Where's the link? I guess I'll just go to the channel. So essentially speaking, I wanted to go about making a video on what is the state of the union for PolyInnovator and more importantly, the Content Polymath, right? And I'm just double checking the screen. Okay, cool. I can hear the voice. I want to see the chat, all that jazz. So this brand that I'm doing, I've really been focusing on the Substack, and I've had a lot of issues with Substack Live. Like I would have actually gone Substack Live rather than YouTube Live, but anytime I went live, it always had a minute or two extra link at the end, which when that goes to the video, obviously to YouTube, and then to audio for like Spotify, that extra dead minutes, dead space in the middle of it, or at the end of it, I mean, would actually hinder my watch time and hinder my growth. And on top of that too, there wasn't any unique features to Substack Live. There's barely any to YouTube, and honestly, I wish they would fix the whole verticals. I'd love to be vertical live right now too, but I'm just not going to deal with that complexity right now. I just wanted to yap and talk to you about the content creation aspect. But I'm still posting the Substack, and I actually have one scheduled for tomorrow, and I have another idea already for the next one for next week. And I have plenty of ideas going forward, like creating episodic content. You need to be putting out 100 pieces of content a day, multi-streaming for podcasters, a lot of cool ideas. I'm looking at the list right there. Now, what actions I'm taking right now aren't necessarily as grand, but I've done a lot. And so I'm trying to get going, but let's kind of start back a little bit. PolyTools I created as a directory for all these different tools that I came across and I wanted to share with you. This brand, the Content Polymath, used to be called PolyTools, right? It came out to be as a way of marketing towards that website and that brand. However, I ended up focusing more on the content than on the website, and the website kept having issues where it kept breaking on me, let alone the cost of it every month, and I was like, I'm just not going to keep dealing with this. I need to focus more on the content, and the content's making more progress anyways. So I put that off to the side, but in that process of building that website and moving all the blog posts over and writing more blog posts for that site, I had a plan where I was going to make a blog post for every category. Here's the top 3, 5, or 10 tools in that category. And I posted one this week already, and I'm going to post another one for next week, and I'm trying to do it more consistently. But essentially speaking, that PolyTools Digest, that series that I had created, that newsletter prior to this channel even, I wanted to keep that going. So despite the fact I made a whole new newsletter for this brand on the Substack, I actually decided to keep the PolyTools Digest on the main website going too. So I have two different streams of content going out written-wise. And I think that's kind of unique. I don't necessarily need to have them merged together just yet. I probably will down the line. But I think there's still a point of bringing attention to my website, still a point of building out the Substack on its own. They don't necessarily need to be mutually exclusive, but they also don't necessarily need to be together either. And so I'm just doing both. And mainly because I just want to get these tool category posts out. And after that, I have a few ideas, but those ideas will probably just go to the Content Polymath thing. And then I'll just end it there. But it's really interesting because there's a lot of really cool tools that I get to talk about that I don't really have much content on already. And so there's a particular category, something you need, like books, for example. Books is a unique category. It's both like reading and writing books. I didn't really separate that because there's so little amount of tools for books in generals. But that's like a unique category. Maybe there's something you need on there for that. And then on top of that, things like, I don't know, knowledge management tools are always changing. And I wanted to give you a opportunity to see what was out there. I think I need to change the thumbnail for this video too, but I will eventually. And so I just really am excited to share those posts with you, but I also have the Polymath post that I need to make, and that's for my main brand, right? And so those are two big projects I've been trying to get around to doing. If I can just get that off my plate, I think I'd feel so much better. And I've been saying something like that for the last many years. If you watched my PolyInnovator channel, you've heard me probably say a lot of that over there. And at the beginning of this year, I did a content blitz to help with that, which was like multiple sprints in one. Now, I think that I made a lot of progress with that blitz. I was able to finish the podcast. I was able to schedule out a lot of content. Great. But it wasn't enough, and I wasn't able to finish those particular projects because those newsletters need to keep going regardless. But I find that the idea of perpetually having to write those instead of just batching them and setting them and forgetting them for a while, I think that idea is better. I don't like doing them every week. I'd rather just do them ahead of time, especially since they're not necessarily, they don't need to change with the times as much because it's more about here's a list of tools, here's a Polymath video or whatever. And then over this past weekend, I actually last week or so, I made a new YouTube channel and Instagram for both the Polymath Polycast and the PolyTools Creator Spotlight. Both of my podcasts, they have a new YouTube channel and a new Instagram for just clips. And I scheduled 2,600 clips this weekend in a matter of a few hours, thanks Nuelink. And I was able to schedule those all out ahead of time. And so now for the next year for the Polycast and about half a year or so for the Creator Spotlight, I have clips now going out. And I actually planned on going back through every interview and making mid-form clips. I still need to go ahead and do that, and that's going to be a pretty tedious process, but Opus Clip does make it easier, and I think that I just need to go ahead and do it. But I think it's probably something I should have done a long time ago. I should have made mid-clips every once in a while anyways. It's just something I just felt like was extraneous, but I think it's helpful, especially at this point where I feel like I'm kind of stalemating. I'm not really making much growth, despite the fact I'm getting a lot of views, and all my platforms are increasing in views, and actually some platforms actually increasing in followers and stuff like that, but I digress. I want more progress, and I want to take bigger action so I can make bigger progress, ideally. And so there is that. I have this idea, and I've talked about it a little bit with the Substack stuff, but I kind of want to move my podcasts from Transistor. I love Transistor, and I love the people who made Transistor, but it's expensive. $200 a year is not palatable, especially for someone who's not making that much money from content. And on top of that, there's not anything particularly unique about it, like not besides having unlimited podcasts. That is really helpful. I will give them that on that. But other features like the websites are just not. It's better than most podcast tools. That's true, but it's not necessarily the perfect podcast website. And I wanted to move everything over to Substack. Not only is it free hosting, but more importantly, it allows me to have blog versions of every episode. So I can go back in there, and I might have to do it manually, but I'll go back in there. And I've been wanting to make like multidisciplinary mindset posts for all my Polymath Polycast interviews anyways. And so it would have the video, it would have the audio link, and then it would have the description from YouTube, and obviously the podcast page too, and then it would have so that includes the links and the summary and all that jazz, and then it'll have like an AI summary that really kind of sum things up. Then it would have an actual kind of like blog post underneath it that I write that like here's this multidisciplinary mindset of this guest, and then after that it would have the transcription. I think with that it would create a really unique blog post. Not only would it be very SEO optimized, and AI would also appreciate it too, but then humans could also appreciate the first half at least. Now, the transcriptions aren't perfect, but I don't necessarily need to go in there and edit them perfectly. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll like scan through it, make sure certain words and names are right. But other than that, I might just kind of leave it. But I think that's, again, I have 200 interviews. That's 200 posts that I can make relatively quickly. It's not like I'm writing out a 3,000 word blog post. I'm just creating one from stuff I'm already putting back together. And so that's why I wanted to make this live stream, this video today, because I felt that a lot of people aren't thinking about their content in a more 3D way. They think they make a video and they set it and forget it and they're done. But that video could then become clips. That video could be cut out the audio and make a podcast. That video could be transcribed, turned into a blog post. Cool. Those are already just barely above basic kind of repurposing, but there's other ways of going about it even farther than that. And I also really like the idea of combining them all into one post. You have the video, audio, and written all in one place. So that way, if you are someone who likes to listen or watch or read, you have the option to do all three with every episode, which is why I brought back the Substack. I've been on and off Substack for years, but I had this strategy when I first started out. I want to make a video, podcast, and a blog post for every episode. And I've been doing that with the Substack episodes. And I think it's really interesting because it allows me to do all three and not that much work, right? I'm writing the post and I'm making the video separately, but the podcast is just the audio cut out, easy peasy. And I like writing. The video is a little bit different because I get to create differently, and so the way my mind works is different. And so that way, when I'm making either one, you kind of get a different angle and a different perspective, and you also get the links from the blog post. So it really works together. So PolyInnovator is, even though it's my main personal brand, it's what I'm mainly doing. Oh, I did make a big change, partially for the PolyInnovator's sake and my personal, expression's sake. But every interview I've ever done, I've always posted the podcast thumbnail, the square one, to Instagram. However, over the years, it kind of flooded my feed more. And that's one reason why I also didn't like posting the clips to there either. And I think eventually I'm going to stop posting podcast clips to the main PolyInnovator Instagram. And I'm going to stop posting the thumbnails to Instagram. In fact, I went back through and deleted all of the podcast thumbnails of each guest. And I feel really bad about it, but I think that in the long run, it's going to look better aesthetically for me on my personal page. And a lot of people who follow me don't care about my podcasts. Some of them do, but like people who follow me are usually people I meet in real life. And they're going to find my podcast interesting by going to it eventually. Or I'll tell them about it and they can find it. But it almost felt like I was shoving it down their throats when I kept posting about it all the time. And I know that I lost some followers whenever I first started posting clips because I was posting a lot of clips. And I want to post a lot of clips, but not everyone cares about those clips. I probably will for solo videos like this, and I might run this through Opus Clip and have clips from it. For videos like this, I'll probably put on Instagram because they're solo, they're me. But I would much rather also just post karaoke videos on there and have it just be like a personal Instagram because that's what it is. That's what it's always been. And while all my content is personal brand content, it's all from me, it is not necessarily what people want to find on there. And so I figured there was also a whole bunch of clips. I don't know why Instagram does this, but all the reels were forced onto the main feed, which also posts on the main grid. I think it's dumb. If you have a Reels page anyways, why is all the Reels on the main page? It's kind of like the whole Shorts fiasco on YouTube where all the Shorts were getting posted to the Videos tab. And so you had like just a spam of stuff. It didn't mix well. You have a Reels tab for a reason. I don't know why all these Reels are over there. I think it's if you want to put it over there, that's fine, but you should be able to choose that. And like from the get-go. And it's really hard because then I had all these clips, and every time I would scroll down and click the clip and say, hey, remove from the main grid, it would jump back to the top. Instagram, terrible user experience. Fix that. And I had so many clips and I just kept going through and trying to remove them. But eventually it just got frustrating to the point where I was like, I have all these now clips blocking people from scrolling down past and seeing my old content, seeing my old pictures of me, my dog or whatever. If someone wanted to Instagram stalk me, they had to go through all of that. And you want to encourage Instagram stalking when you're a creator. You want people to look through your stuff. You want people to be curious about your stuff. And while I want people to be curious about those clips, the clips were so frequent that it just kind of was like a block. And there was no way to easily remove them either. So I just deleted them, to be honest. And I'm reposting all the clips anyways. I might as well delete them off the main feed. There's still plenty of clips on the Reels feed, and I don't intend on changing that because what's the point of deleting posts? I don't actually like deleting posts. I've specifically said in multiple different videos and stuff like that, don't delete your posts. This was more for not... A lot of people delete the posts because it's like no longer what they're about. And that's kind of what I was doing, but not really. It is what I'm about. But it was more about just the clutter of it. And I get that's why some people do it, but I still told them not to do it. So I was kind of going against my own wishes there. But I think that in this particular case, deleting the images and deleting the couple dozen clips out of 2,000 wasn't that big of a deal, especially since it just made the whole feed much more condensed and a lot more clean. And overall, I'm going to keep making posts. I'm going to keep sharing my podcast clips to my main page, even at some points too, if I find them really good. But I'm just going to try to go for more quality and do the quantity on the new clipping pages. And also hopefully make more just like personal content on my personal brand page. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I figured this was a cool way to explain it all. I didn't see anybody come in, but that's okay. I just want to get practice live streaming anyways. Cheers.